Welcome to Neville Manifestation. If you're ready to step into your true power, transform your identity, and claim the abundance that has always been yours, then you're exactly where you need to be. Join our membership and begin living not from hope, but from the certainty that you already are everything you seek. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are diving into two of the most powerful words you will ever speak, followed by two declarations that can completely reshape your life. I am rich, I am abundant. These are not wishes you throw into the unknown, not hopeful requests sent out waiting for approval. These are statements of identity, spoken from the deepest creative part of you, the place where everything begins before it ever shows up in your physical world. Let's walk through this together. The phrase I am holds immense power, not because of tradition, but because of what it actually does. It defines you. It tells your subconscious mind, your body, and your entire system who you are. These words don't describe your current state, they create it. Whatever you attach to I am becomes the blueprint your life starts following. Say, I am tired, and your energy drops. Say, I am afraid, and your world shrinks. But when you say, I am rich, I am abundant, something deeper begins to shift inside you. The universe doesn't respond to words as sounds. It responds to the feeling and belief behind them. Your consciousness is the true reality, and what you see around you is simply a reflection of your inner state. It's a delayed but accurate mirror of what you consistently believe and feel. So if you want to change your world, you don't start with circumstances, you start with your self-concept. When you declare, I am rich, I am abundant, you're not just repeating empty words. You're planting a new identity into your subconscious. And your subconscious doesn't argue or question. It accepts and works tirelessly to express whatever it's given. But here's the key. Words alone are not enough. You must feel it. This is where most people miss the mark. True creation comes from feeling. You have to live as if it's already real. Feel now what you would feel if you were already wealthy and abundant. Not later, not someday, now. Step into that version of you from the inside. Ask yourself, how would you breathe if money was no longer a concern? How would you carry yourself if abundance was simply your normal state? What kind of calm confidence would you have if you knew you always had more than enough? Feel that ease. Feel that freedom. Feel the natural generosity that comes when you know you're overflowing. Because it's not the words, not the technique, not even the visualization. It's the feeling that activates everything. I know what some of you are thinking. You're looking at your current situation, bills, debts, numbers that don't match this idea, and wondering how this could possibly be real. But understand this clearly. Your current reality is just the result of past thoughts and feelings. It is not your identity, not your limit, and not your future. It's simply a reflection of what you once believed. It has no control over what comes next unless you keep focusing on it. When you keep reacting to it, you keep recreating it. Instead, you must learn to live from the end. Treat your desired future as if it's already here by feeling it now. When you persist in that state, even if it seems unreal at first, it eventually becomes your reality. This is not blind positivity. This is how consciousness works. There's a powerful idea here called the law of reversibility. If a certain mindset creates a certain result, then you can start with the mindset and let the result follow. You don't need wealth to feel wealthy. You feel wealthy first, and wealth follows. But most people do the opposite. They wait. They say, when I have money, I'll feel secure. But that keeps them stuck, always waiting for something external to give them permission to feel a certain way. You can break that cycle right now. Not by forcing emotions, but by stepping into the state as naturally as possible. Imagine your life as already complete in the way you desire. Feel it until it becomes real within you. Once it feels real inside, it has no choice but to appear outside. Your imagination is the bridge. Whatever you imagine with genuine feeling, your subconscious accepts as truth. And once accepted, it begins arranging everything, situations, opportunities, connections, to bring that truth into your physical world. So ask yourself, can you go through your day as someone who is already abundant? Can you make decisions from that mindset? Can you respond to life even in small moments from the identity of someone who is financially free? If you can do that consistently, then abundance is not a possibility. It becomes inevitable. Now, let's clear another block. Many people believe that wanting money is somehow wrong or unspiritual. That belief is not truth. It's misunderstanding. Look at nature. It is overflowing with abundance. One tree produces countless fruits, each holding seeds for even more growth. The universe is not built on scarcity, it's built on expansion. And you are part of that same system. Money itself is not negative. It's simply a tool, a form of energy, a way of exchange. What matters is how it's used. When your mindset is aligned with abundance, money becomes something that flows, not just to you, but through you. It becomes something you use to create, give, and expand. So when you say, I am rich, I am abundant, you are not being greedy. You are aligning yourself with the natural state of life itself. You are becoming a channel for growth and flow. True wealth is not about holding on, it's about circulation. And you cannot give from emptiness. Finally, understand what affirmations truly are. They are not lies you try to believe. They are not attempts to ignore reality. They are statements that align you with a deeper truth. Abundance is not something you have to earn. It is your natural state. Any lack you see is only temporary, created by past conditioning. So when you speak these words, do it with intention. Feel them, live them, let them define you. Because once you truly accept them, your entire life begins to reorganize around that identity. Any lack you're experiencing right now is not your truth. It's simply a temporary condition created by an earlier state of mind. And it can change the moment you choose a new inner reality. When you say, I am rich, I am abundant, you're not reaching for something outside of you. You're stepping back into what has always belonged to you. This is your natural state. But it's important to understand this clearly. Affirmations are not magic words you repeat mindlessly. They are not about how many times you say something. What matters is the state you step into while saying them. When you declare, I am rich, I am abundant, you have to feel it. Let that feeling move through you. Let it soften your mind, expand your chest, and change the energy within you. Let it turn your inner world from tension into ease. That shift is where everything begins. Once you truly feel abundant, your behavior starts to change without effort. You begin making choices from a place of confidence instead of fear. You notice opportunities that you once overlooked. You naturally attract people and situations that reflect this new version of you. There's a quiet strength in the way you carry yourself, a sense of openness, a willingness to receive. Now let's talk about something that really determines whether this works or not. Consistency. When you first begin this practice, you may not see instant results in your outer world. That doesn't mean it isn't working. It simply means the process is unfolding. Just like any natural law, it operates on its own timing. Think of it like planting a seed. No one plants something today and expects a full harvest tomorrow. There's a period where nothing seems to be happening, but beneath the surface, everything is in motion. The same is true here. Once you plant the seed of a new identity, it begins growing whether you see it or not. This is where most people give up. They start strong, they feel it for a few days or weeks, and then they look around, don't see immediate proof, and fall back into old thinking. They return to doubt, to lack, to the same inner story, and the results reflect that shift. Not because the law failed, but because they changed their state. The real key is to stay loyal to your new identity, even when nothing outside has changed yet. You have to hold that inner position through the gap between imagination and physical reality. Even when doubt shows up, even when your senses say otherwise, you stay grounded in your new truth. Because everything is happening beneath the surface first. Ask yourself honestly, can you continue to feel abundant even when your current situation doesn't reflect it yet? Can you think and act like someone who already has what they desire? If you can stay in that state, then change is not optional. It's inevitable. It has to happen. Now here's something that might seem confusing at first, but it's essential. Detachment. Wanting wealth doesn't mean you have to be emotionally dependent on it. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means your peace, your identity, your sense of completeness are not tied to whether the result has appeared yet. When you become overly attached, constantly checking for results, watching your bank balance, looking for proof, you're actually reinforcing the feeling of not having. And that's what continues to repeat. The law doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you feel you already are. But when you reach a place of inner certainty, where you know you are abundant simply because that is your nature, everything changes. You're no longer waiting, you're no longer chasing, you're living as the person who already has it. And from that state, results flow naturally, without force. Your inner frequency determines what you experience. If you operate from lack, you'll continue to attract situations that match that feeling. But when you shift into abundance, into gratitude, into trust, your experiences begin to align with that energy. This isn't just an idea, it's how your consciousness works. So when you say, I am rich, I am abundant, don't say it with tension or desperation. Say it with calm certainty. with the quiet confidence of someone who knows it's already done. Let go of the need to control how or when it happens. Trust the process. And this brings us to something incredibly powerful: gratitude. Gratitude is not just a nice emotion, it's a state that multiplies what you have. When you feel truly grateful, you are already acknowledging abundance in your life, and that feeling naturally attracts more. Some people worry that being grateful will make them settle, that it will stop them from wanting more. But the opposite is true. Gratitude expands your capacity to receive. It places you in the mindset of someone who already feels blessed, and from that place, more flows in effortlessly. As you affirm your abundance, combine it with real appreciation. Be thankful for what you already have, no matter how small it seems. Be thankful for what's on its way. Be thankful for your ability to choose your inner state, because that alone is powerful beyond measure. Gratitude makes you more open, more aligned, and more ready to receive what is already trying to come into your life. Now let's talk about action, because this is often misunderstood. Living in the feeling of abundance does not mean doing nothing. It doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for things to appear. What it means is that your actions come from a completely different place. When you truly feel abundant, you will naturally be guided to take action. But it won't feel forced or desperate. It will feel right. It will feel aligned. This kind of action is very different from the kind driven by fear or lack. A person who feels abundant makes better decisions. They invest in themselves. They notice opportunities. They communicate differently. They move through life with clarity instead of pressure. They don't chase outcomes. They align with who they already are, and life responds to that identity. Pay attention to those inner nudges. When you feel inspired to learn something new, reach out to someone, or take a step forward, follow it. Those impulses are not random. They are part of the bridge between your inner state and your outer reality. Everything begins within you. When you change how you see yourself, how you feel, and how you show up, your world has no choice but to reflect it. When you feel the urge to start something new, follow it, but not from a place of pressure or fear. Let it come from the natural expression of someone who already feels abundant and secure. Act like the version of you who already has what you desire. It's also important to understand that real prosperity involves flow. Everything in life moves. Air, water, energy, and money is no different. It's not meant to be held tightly out of fear. A truly abundant mindset allows wealth to come in, move through, and go out without anxiety. This doesn't mean being careless. It means trusting that as you allow money to circulate wisely and generously, more will return to you. Just like breathing, you have to let go to receive again. When you hold too tightly, you block the flow. When your hand is open, things move naturally. Ask yourself honestly, where am I holding on too tightly? Where am I acting as if money is limited? And how would I behave in those same situations if I truly believed I was abundant? Another key piece of this is self-worth. Your outer life reflects your inner beliefs. If deep down you feel undeserving of wealth, that belief will quietly interfere with everything else. These ideas often come from the past, things you picked up from family, society, or old experiences. But they are not facts. They are just patterns you've been running. The truth is simple. You are inherently worthy. You don't have to earn your right to abundance. It isn't based on your past, your bank account, or anyone else's opinion. When you say, I am rich, I am abundant, also remind yourself, I am worthy. Let that sink in deeply. Let it become something you feel, not just something you say. Some people worry that wanting wealth is selfish. It's not. Your lack doesn't help anyone. Struggling doesn't improve the world. In fact, when you step into abundance, you're in a much better position to give, to support others, and to create opportunities. You become an example of what's possible. Abundance isn't limited. There's more than enough for everyone. Taking your share doesn't take anything away from someone else. As you move forward, don't let impatience trip you up. Things don't always happen instantly. What you plant internally grows in its own time. Your job isn't to keep checking for results or worrying about when it will happen. That kind of behavior comes from doubt, from feeling like you don't have it yet. Instead, stay grounded in the feeling that it's already yours. Live your days from that place, regardless of what things look like right now. Trust the process. It works whether you're watching it or not. Remember this above all. You are the one creating your experience. Your inner world shapes your outer world. What you consistently believe and feel must eventually show up in your reality. Not sometimes, always. Saying I am rich, I am abundant isn't about repeating words. It's about becoming that state. It's about living from it, thinking from it, and moving through life as if it's already true. As you do that, your external world will begin to reflect it. There's no need to force anything. This is about alignment, not struggle. It's about returning to your natural state of abundance, beyond all the old beliefs you've been carrying. So carry this with you, not just in your thoughts, but in how you walk, breathe, and interact with the world. Let it show in your confidence, your calmness, your openness. Protect this mindset from doubt and fear. Know this deeply. You are already abundant. Live like it, trust it, and watch how your life begins to shift in response. This is everything you need, is already within you. It always has been. Now is the time to live like you know that. What makes this idea powerful isn't just the words or even the belief itself, but how consistently you return to that inner state throughout ordinary moments of your day. It's easy to feel abundant when you're inspired, motivated, or listening to something uplifting. The real shift happens when you can hold that same sense of inner fullness while doing simple things, checking your phone, paying bills, having conversations, or facing uncertainty. That's where the transformation becomes real, because you're no longer depending on circumstances to create your state. You're choosing it. A big part of this is becoming more aware of your inner dialogue. Most people are running quiet, repetitive thoughts in the background that contradict what they say they want. You might affirm abundance for a few minutes, but then spend the rest of the day thinking things like, I can't afford that, money is tight, or this never works out for me. These small thoughts matter because they reinforce the old identity. Shifting your life means gently catching those patterns and replacing them, not with forced positivity, but with something that reflects the version of you you're choosing to become. It also helps to understand that emotions are signals of alignment. When you feel contracted, anxious, or desperate, it usually means you're focused on lack or trying to force an outcome. When you feel calm, open, and steady, you're aligned with trust and sufficiency. The goal isn't to suppress negative emotions, but to recognize them as indicators and guide yourself back. Even a small shift, from tension to relief, from doubt to neutrality, moves you closer to the state you want to live in. Another layer of this practice is imagination. Your mind doesn't distinguish sharply between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. When you take time to mentally step into a scene where your desire is already fulfilled and you feel it as real, you're training your nervous system to accept that reality. It's not about fantasizing randomly, but about consistently returning to a clear inner picture that implies your wish is already done. Over time, this reduces resistance because it begins to feel natural instead of distant. There's also a quiet shift in identity that happens. At first, you may feel like you're trying to be abundant, but eventually, it becomes less of an effort and more of a baseline. You stop questioning it so much. You stop needing constant reassurance. Decisions become easier because you're no longer choosing from fear. You might notice you value your time differently, set clearer boundaries, or pursue opportunities you would have ignored before. These changes might seem small, but they are evidence that your inner state is stabilizing. Patience plays a deeper role than most people realize. It's not just about waiting, it's about remaining internally consistent without becoming discouraged. There's often a period where your old reality is still visible, even though your inner state has shifted. This can feel confusing if you're expecting instant proof. But this gap is natural. It's simply the momentum of past assumptions playing out. If you don't react to it, if you don't fall back into old thinking, it eventually dissolves. It's also worth noticing how much this process changes your relationship with control. When you're attached to specific outcomes, you tend to overthink, overanalyze, and try to manage every detail. But as you settle into trust, you allow things to unfold in ways you may not have predicted. Often, opportunities show up indirectly, through conversations, ideas, or unexpected connections. If you're too focused on how it should happen, you can miss what's actually happening. Gratitude deepens all of this, but not as a forced practice. It becomes more natural when you start noticing what's already working in your life. Even small things, support from someone, a moment of clarity, a new idea, can be recognized as evidence of movement. This keeps your attention on expansion instead of lack. And what you consistently notice tends to grow in your awareness. You may also find that your environment starts to reflect your internal changes. People respond differently to you. Situations feel less heavy. You might feel more comfortable in spaces or conversations that once intimidated you. This isn't something you have to make happen. It's a byproduct of who you're being. Your energy, your posture, your tone, even your silence communicates something different. At a deeper level, this is really about remembering that your sense of self is not fixed. It's something you're continuously shaping through what you accept as true. The more you embody a new state, the less power old labels and limitations have over you. You begin to see that many of the boundaries you thought were real were actually maintained by repetition and belief. There will still be moments of doubt, and that's normal. The difference is that you don't stay there. You don't build a story around it. You recognize it and you return to your chosen state. That return is the practice, not perfection, but consistency. Over time, what once felt like effort becomes natural. What once felt unrealistic becomes obvious. And what once felt out of reach begins to feel like a normal part of your life. The truth is simple, yet profound. Your life changes the moment you change who you believe you are. I am rich, I am abundant, is not a wish. It is a decision to embody a new identity and remain faithful to it, no matter what your current reality shows. When you align your thoughts, feelings, and self worth with abundance, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Stay persistent, trust the unseen process, and allow life to flow through you without fear. Because once you truly live from that state, abundance is no longer something you seek, it becomes who you are.